In my last video, I declared that I am not going to be buying the new Pokemon game Legends ZA, and a lot of you guys had some things to say in the comments section. So here's my live reaction of you guys ripping me a new one. Hello there, my internet friends. My name is Soul, and today's video is basically a response video to my latest video talking about Pokemon Legends ZA. The purpose of that video was to talk about the Nintendo Direct, where they announced a DLC before the game dropped, that some of the mega starters are locked behind a subscription now. And just to be like a whiny bitch, because that's what we do here on YouTube. We make complain videos, and judging by the comments, a lot of people like to do that in there too. But in all seriousness, I have to thank you guys for that video because I am a small YouTuber who's been doing this for over 10 years now, and I have never had a video with that amount of comments, and I generally don't get videos with thousands of views like that. So thank you so much if you're any of the new people coming in from that video. I do a lot of videos talking about video games and anime. I'm kind of all over the place, but it is what it is. But if there's one thing you can expect from me, it's going to be videos about Pokemon. And let's see how you guys are feeling about the new Pokemon game. Speaking of Pokemon, you like this backdrop I got? I put it on specifically for this video. Be proud of me. So I made a pinned comment just asking people what they thought about the Direct, and generally people were, in my camp at first. People were just unexcited. They lost a little bit of their hype. Highlight this comment right here. Did you forget Legends EA was announced last year? Did you ever think the game was finished last year and Game Freak is too busy to announce the game? They're working on Gen 10 and Beast of Reincarnation. So that's kind of similar to what I was talking about with the Donkey Kong thing. So the reason the DLC got announced here is because the original game is either delayed or they hold off on releasing it. So now they're just kind of crammed together. And the next year, the next Pokemon Day, the next year of events, that's all going to be Gen 10. That really doesn't change anything for me, because my main argument is they're sitting on this content, right? Even if the DLC, even if they have to wait a little bit to release that, they should. Because I'm assuming this DLC will work as like a post-game little side campaign, similar to Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, the Delta episode. The Delta episode wasn't DLC. You could argue that the Delta episode wasn't integral to the main core of that game, but a lot of people feel better about that game because it exists. I feel like people will feel the same way about this DLC. They don't have to announce Gen 10 next year. They can wait even longer, polish it up more. They want to release a Pokemon game every year, which has been the crux of this franchise for a while now. It's been the crux of every Assassin's Creed Call of Duty game that has tried to do the exact same thing. Just don't do that. Here we're just kind of complaining about good old capitalism and kind of how the difference is between the Game Boy and DS games with the current generation. It doesn't help that I'm disappointed in everything Nintendo is doing right now. I'm not boycotting them by any means, but I just don't want to support them unless I have to because it's getting downright ridiculous. I thoroughly enjoyed Scarlet and Violet, and like I said, Legends Arceus was actually good, but I'm just getting older, and I think I have to accept that. I actually also enjoy all the Switch games. I like Sword and Shield. I like Scarlet and Violet. They just don't hit as hard as the previous generations for me, and I'm paying more for them. But while we're talking about boycotting, I never said in my previous video, I'm boycotting this game. I know the title is I'm not buying this game, and I was generally complaining, but I never was like, I'm boycotting this game. You all should boycott this game. The video is more about Nintendo's predatory business practices, and because of them, I'm just not gonna buy the game. Partly because it's just too much money and they're pricing me out, and because, like, as a company, they're disrespecting us to the point that I just don't want to buy it. I could have talked more about the patent they put in. I could have talked more about them shutting down ROMs, but this was more just why I'm not buying the game, which is because they're literally trying to price me out. Why don't you buy the Switch version of Legends EA instead? And I even commented here, I touched on it in the video, but I wanted to play the best version of this game possible and be a part of the conversation when it comes out. But now I have to choose, between the conversation or playing the best version possible. It's not a big deal, but it does kill my hype a little bit, especially with the Nintendo Switch Online and DLC on top of it. You're gonna see this more in the comments, like, why don't you just get the Switch 1 version? And you could always pay the extra $10 or whatever it is to go to Switch 2. The Switch 1 version of the game is actually even cheaper, which I didn't know about when I made this video. Which doesn't really change how I feel about the DLC, it doesn't really change how I feel about the Nintendo Switch Online aspect to it. But I guess one thing you have to understand about me is I don't buy games at full price. And considering Nintendo games never go on sale, I don't get to play a lot of Nintendo games. Like the DLCs that came out for Scar and Violet, I didn't play those. I didn't think those were going to be worth it. And I really love Legends Arceus. That's why I was considering buying Legends EA. But once they started cutting the megas, they put on this DLC. I kind of saw the writing on the wall and the fact that I got to play it on the Switch 1. Like, it just didn't make me want to play it anymore. I love Pokemon, literally grew up with it. Same with Nintendo, but Switch 2's era screamed greed to me. Not to mention they literally being able to break your console, then add the Power World lawsuit and Nintendo's silly patents, which just shows they're scared of competition in the market. It's sad how much Nintendo changed for the worse after Iwata passed. I'm with you, man. I cannot believe they want us spending over $100 on this game. Nintendo are going to feel the wrath of their greed soon, because we can't be made to keep fronting the bill for this company that famously has zero debt and can afford to give us something for sticking around this long. I love the phrase, feel the wrath of their greed, like God's gonna smite them for charging for Nintendo Switch Online. But, I think this goes to show how, upset some people are. Scarlet and Violet plus DLC was $95. I'm glad I didn't buy that DLC. I'm buying the base Switch game because that is the experience advertised in the start. If the game is not enjoyable, probably gonna stop buying new games and try out Champions. Which is probably one of the best criticisms of my video. Like, if I was excited for the base game that was in the initial trailers that's on Nintendo Switch 1, completely fair argument, but I have been playing Pokemon games that have been running like dog shit on Nintendo Switch for years now, so I was a little excited to get my hands on a beefier version of that, but it is what it is. I'm not going to compare every indie game to every like AAA game, but for the amount of money the Pokemon company brings in, for the amount of money Nintendo has, their games should be a higher standard and they can release them for cheaper. We were playing Pokemon games on the DS for $40 and they were just better games. You could lower this to at least $500 for the Legends ZA Switch 2 bundle, and then if you wish to commit to the DLC, it's $30. I don't personally complain about NSO since the base subscription is cheap at $20 bucks annually, and I've paid for it for a long time. I'm used to having that $20 spent. And I completely agree with this comment. I basically am kind of doing what he's talking about. I'm not buying Nintendo Switch games, and that's kind of why I'm complaining, is because Nintendo doesn't put their games on sale because they overcharge their customers. And there really isn't that much more to what we're talking about here. We're just complaining about Nintendo prices. But there is a Legends ZA Switch 2 bundle. I didn't think about that when I made this video. Sorry, but charging $50 for a 10-year-old game, that's where I draw the line at. I don't care if you are a die-hard Nintendo supporter, you're an online keyboard warrior for Nintendo, you're a shill. There is no argument to be made why the port for Mario Galaxy 2 is practically a full price game. And there's a lot of these comments. But you are. Trust me, you will buy it. Yep, 99% of these YouTubers bought the Switch 2 after they said they wouldn't. Don't believe it until you see it. And I made the comment just saying like, hey, I make a lot less than those YouTubers you're talking about. If I am committed to what I'm talking about, it's because I literally have to be. I can't just go out and buy the Switch 2 willy-nilly. I'm not going to spend my money on all that anytime soon. I'm not going to get ZA until probably much later. I'm sorry, no, Pokemon back in the day was never a full package because of one simple thing. Third versions. Third versions basically were scams in and of themselves. They were literally re-released the same game you bought the year prior with small amount more content because the base games had bare bones post-game that was just the other legendaries and the battle tower. We still have a lot of comments to go through, so I'm going to summarize that, but I did write a comment here just kind of agreeing with them like, hey, yeah, I agree. The third entries were always kind of a scam, if anything, a bigger scam depending on who you talk to. But I never double dipped on a generation. For me, like the third entries were for like people who hadn't got the game yet and they want the better version, or if you're just like a diehard, I gotta catch 'em all, Nintendo drone kid. But yeah, I definitely misspoke when I referred to the old days as the golden age. But comparatively, missing out on a third entry versus missing a whole DLC and having like starters cut from the game, their new forms, I think, it's a little bit of a difference. Like in Sword and Shield, those Dynamax Adventure Den raids, those were like my favorite part of that game. Getting new legendaries in a post game DLC, new Pokemon. That feels like a kind of essential to what Pokemon is. That feels like a part of the game, but it's not going to be in there unless you pay more. I can understand I can understand people's complaints, except for the $20 Nintendo Switch Online part. There's been a factor for quite a while for various games. Some people got the upgraded one so they can play other games for free, like Nintendo 64. Likewise, it's been a factor in Pokemon games for some since Sword and Shield. They upgraded again in Scarlet and Violet and during the DLC. By the amount of people complaining about this, they're still going to complain because a lot of people don't want to spend $20 a year for an emulator service. A lot of people already have emulators to play these games, and the emulators are actually better than Nintendo's service, by the way. And then there's DLCs like Animal Crossing and Mario Kart. It's all tied into Nintendo Switch Online. For starters, there's a lot of people who just play Pokemon. They don't play those other Nintendo Switch games. So this is the first time they're significantly being hit with this. And maybe DLC just shouldn't be tied to a subscription service. Whenever you tie content to a subscription service, there's the chance that that content won't exist when the subscription service isn't around anymore. And as far as I know, they're not releasing some kind of ZA Ultimate Edition where it's going to be a part of the package. So there's a good chance these Pokemon won't exist in the future. So even though the subscription fee is cheap, I've paid it before, it's not that big of a price. It's the fact that it exists at all is what people are upset about. I canceled my ZA pre-order after the direct and hearing about the starter megas being locked behind the god-awful online service. See, people are upset about the online service, man. You saw the Digimon game, and that is why. There's some people championing this new Digimon game that looks hype as hell, and I'm not a huge Digimon guy. I do have like a little pit of nostalgia for Digimon, but I've never delved into one of their core games. But maybe, man, I'm not against it. You're gonna wait for Nintendo games to go on sale. I assume that's what he meant to say. Nintendo games? You serious? Maybe I gotta watch the video back, but I don't remember saying I remember saying I'll wait for them to become cheaper on eBay. I don't think I remember saying waiting for them to go on sale, but even if I did, they technically do go on sale for Christmas or whatever. Not very significantly, but it technically counts as a sale. So I'm just waiting for Elder Scrolls 6. We're gonna be waiting for a while. The whole game is trash. Why do I have to run around and battle? Next thing you know, the trainer will now fight the Pokemon themselves. I missed the first 1 through Gen 5 games. Now everything is just a bunch of gimmicks with no substance. I like a lot of the new gimmicks though. This is a side game, so I think they can do some gimmicks without changing the formula. That being said, Pokemon does kind of need to adapt in a lot of ways. I have a video, I think it's titled 10 ways to fix Pokemon's game design. Watch that video. I pretty much talk about this a lot more. Stop buying new Pokemon and new Nintendo products. Nintendo is dying and they are murderers. They are murders. People are so hyperbolic on the internet, man. This person makes a good point that if Nintendo went out of business, other companies would acquire their IP and they would use those IP better. Not necessarily, but I think that's a valid thing to bring up. We got more people complaining about the Kalos starters being behind PvP paywall. Not trying to be that guy, I assume he means, but Legends is main series, just like Let's Go games are also. Why are you saying main series like that? No, you could make the argument that Let's Go is a remake of a main series game, and you could argue that the Legends games are main series because they introduce new Pokemon. I guess. But between the marketing, the general, cultural zeitgeist, no one I think has ever like referred to these games as main series games. That's kind of why they're being developed by a different team. That's kind of why they're releasing in their own calendar system, whereas the main series is still doing their usual thing. I also heard Gen 10 will be Switch 2 only. I refuse to hop on Switch 2 bandwagon unless Gen 10 is actually worth playing. I think that's going to be a make or break moment for a lot of fans because a lot of people can't afford a Switch 2 in this economy, and because the fan base has been teetering for a while now. And I think the only thing that's going to bring them in is like a really quality game, which I don't have full confidence that they can deliver on, but I am hopeful. I want the Pokemon games to be good. I love fucking Pokemon. But yeah, I also really want a Steam Deck. That's kind of where I've been flip-flopping between my next big purchase I shouldn't be making. Should I get a Steam Deck or should I get a Switch 2? I'm definitely leaning on a Steam Deck because I have a lot of Steam games I just don't want to play on mouse and keyboard. I don't think the older generations of Pokemon were as consumer friendly as you make them out to be. You had to buy the game twice. Also, the Virtual Boy backlash was hilarious to me. A few weeks before the direct, you had to pay upwards of $200 on eBay to buy a functional one, sometimes up to 600. I think I'll run through all those real quick. Technically not a day one DLC, like the DLC isn't releasing day one. My argument is that they're focusing on the DLC before the game comes out, so they could probably squeeze it into the main game. I already kind of talked about the second point. I just kind of think there's a big difference between the DLCs and the other games. Like I never double dipped. I never felt like I had to buy those. The Virtual Boy thing, I think I even said you can pay for that full price. I just didn't like that it was locked behind the subscription service. And then there's the expensive ass peripheral. You're paying over $100 for a peripheral to use for your subscription service. Like that's just kind of where the complaint was coming from. It wasn't like the fact that Virtual Boy games are here and that they're expensive. Some more people leaving like really detailed comments. Like there's a lot of people who are really passionate here. Like I really love a lot of these comments. This one here is talking a lot about the patent, which is a video in itself. No gaming mechanic should be have a patent. That's how you kill creativity within the gaming sphere. There have already been dozens of games that have Pokemon mechanics, and those games should be allowed to exist because Pokemon isn't even the first ones to do it. They had a lot of inspiration from the monsters and Dragon Quest and from Shin Megami Tensei. There's also a huge Ultraman influence there. So for Nintendo to act like they're the beacons of creativity, it's bullshit. Not gonna lie, I fucking hated Arceus Legends. Those gimmick tasks you had to do to capture the Pokemon in different ways were insufferable. There are aspects of Legends Arceus I really don't like. I think like the fetch questy missions were really annoying. I think the story was really lackluster. But I'm not gonna pretend like I didn't love Legends Arceus. The shiny hunting mechanic is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite in any Pokemon game. Just use the YouTube money, and I put in all caps. You think I make money from this? I have not made money from a YouTube video since they took AdSense away from like anyone who applies to it. They had like a requirement of subscribers and watch time. I've not made any money since then. I've just been chasing the imaginary dragon, and he's so far away that I don't even think about him most days. I'm happy you go and boycott Legends ZA. Good for you. In fact, more people should do what you're doing. Did you also boycott Gen 8 Sword and Shield? That game started the Pokemon apocalypse. He talks about how he's going to play Pokemon Champions but keep boycotting Pokemon. Encourage others to do the same. Maybe Game Freak and Pokemon Company will listen to you. I'm not boycotting Pokemon. I'm literally watching the Pokemon anime with my son right now. Like, I got a fucking Pokemon tattoo. I'm still playing Pokemon Go like every day. Like, I'm still a dirty Pokemon fan. For me to like put my flag in the sand and like publicly make a video like I'm boycotting Pokemon because like all the evil corporations like Walmart, Amazon, Sony, Xbox, Apple, Google, the fucking website you're watching this on, it's all evil. We are all victims of capitalism, and we all have to simmer in these little playgrounds that the evil companies have created for us. And we should be fighting the good fight. We should be boycotting things that go out of line. Shout out to those who canceled Disney Plus. And we should be taking a stance, and we should be saying we don't like this, and we should boycott things when they step out of line. I'm just not fighting that particular battle here today. I'm just making a YouTube video where I'm complaining about Nintendo prices. I canceled my pre-order. I may be poor, but I am not going to waste $600 for Switch 2, let alone an extra 125 for Pokemon game. I am done. Also, don't let the Nintendo bootlickers make you feel guilty, which is a sentiment. I knew there was a lot of Nintendo fanboys that will, just attack you for disagreeing with their sacred gods in any way, but I've never had them in my comment sections like this before. So this is a reawakening for me. 70 bucks for the base game, 20 to 30 for the DLC, for Switch Online subscription, 10 more for a Pokemon Bank subscription. I assume it means Pokemon Home. Pokemon at bare minimum charges you 120 for full experience while pretending to be a 70-buck game. I didn't even bring up Pokemon Home because, like, I'm gonna be paying for that shit regardless, because even if I just play Go, it's worth it to me because I just move all my Pokemon from Go into my main series. Like, it's all in this whole hub. Like, I got Pokemon that I've had since like Leaf Green. I gotta pay that subscription service just to keep them alive. And I'll do it just because I'm so attached to them. We all know he will buy it day one. Heck, he still didn't cancel that pre-order. I just made the comment, like, I haven't pre-ordered a game in years, which is accurate. I bought one game full price last year, which is Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Other than that, I buy like one or two games full price a year max. I haven't bought in any this year. I might do Ghost of Yotie because I'm really excited about that, but that's a hard maybe. But to double down, no, I'm not going to be buying this game. Like, I was already pretty committed to that. Like, I was committed to like maybe finding a cheaper copy on eBay or something, but now after making this video and getting all these comments, I feel like I'm not allowed to play the game. I'll look like a fucking hypocrite. He'll buy it, or it will be donated by a subscriber, or Nintendo will send him one for good reviews. And then I responded, like, Nintendo isn't sending out consoles to channels with like 1,000 subscribers. Nobody's gonna believe me if I did that. I guess I don't really comment on a lot of videos. If I comment, it's usually to creators I know, or like things I feel real passionate about, so I have like a full understanding of them. My other videos, other people's videos, it's crazy how much people comment without knowing a damn thing. He can check my subscriber account. He can check the views of this video. He can check anything and probably figure out that Nintendo is not in my fucking DMs because there are 0 companies in my DMs. And obviously this guy is being sarcastic. He's implying that that's just what I'm going to say when I buy it. Not that I am going to buy it, but if I did, I would just buy it. And then if someone fucking says anything, like, who gives a shit? I don't know. Anyway, we got more Digimon hype. Hell yeah. DLC in the old Pokemon games. The shit begun was Fire Red and Leaf Green. Event Pokemon. Don't forget, much stuff was cut from Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, and unlockable via events. I mean, my comment kind of surmises what I said. Like, I just don't think events, most of which were free, and like paid DLC that's probably cut from the game are like comparable, you know? Like, the events exist only to like distribute special Pokemon that weren't obtainable in the main game. And those Pokemon I don't think would have been in the main game no matter what, because they want obtaining the whole Pokedex to be special or whatever. So you have to jump through hoops to get these special Pokemon. That's kind of the way it always was. Yeah, I just can't really like put that in the same ballpark as what we're talking about here. We all know you're going to buy it. You can say what you want, but you are and always will be a Nintendo shill. Like, is this a bot? Like, this has to be a bot. There is no way there are real people who are monologuing like an evil villain, like, you are a Nintendo shill and you always will be, ha ha ha. 90% of these people are just reacting to a title and a thumbnail. They're not even watching the video. Me and this guy are just talking about the good old days when video game consoles got cheaper. If you wait like a couple years for the video game console to get cheaper, you're more likely to play the games. Now video game consoles go up and you just don't ever buy them, which is awesome. I'm still rocking the launch edition of the Switch 1. I was thinking about getting the OLED. I was like, oh, let's wait for it to go down in price. Fake fan. Again, I just feel like you're a bot. Like, no, dude, do people actually think like this? Like they type things out like this? Sure, man, the hundreds of dollars I've put into this franchise, thousands of hours, the fucking skin on my arm, none of that fucking mattered because I decided to not buy this one particular game because they priced me out. If anything, shouldn't a real fan know when to stop? I feel like with all franchises, there's the people who knew when to stop, and then there's the people who rode with it until it fell into the grave. I don't think you're a fake fan for hopping off before that happens. I'm not saying that's going to happen to Pokemon, obviously, but I just don't understand this mindset. No, do boycott them. It will change them, and people don't get that. If a ton of people did that, and it would work, and that's a problem with Nintendo fans, including myself, we need to learn to hurt companies as soon as they behave this way. I've always preached about speak with your wallet and your time. The things you spend time with, the things you spend money on, that's what you're speaking for. If this was a $50 Pokemon game that had the DLC included with no Nintendo Switch Online BS, we wouldn't be having this conversation here today. You know, with all the stupid shit that this world has been putting itself through lately, I was really looking at the Switch 2 as a tiny hope and something to actually look forward to. Now, after all of this greed, I not only feel disappointed, but just hopeless. Thanks for nothing, Nintendo. I don't want anyone to put that much like faith and hope into video games, but that shows how much, we fucking love these things, how tied to our lives they are. And that's why sometimes we pay a stupid amount of money to pay for these things. And when these companies do this to us, it physically hurts us. Don't care. I'm still pre-ordering the Pokemon Legends EA game. I don't care. Again, I wasn't trying to make this like a boycotty video saying you guys like should all not buy the game. For the people who are gonna buy this game, I hope they enjoy the fuck out of it. I want this game to be as quality as it fucking can be. Like I do with any video game, I want everyone who spends money to get their money's worth. I'm just explaining how I feel. How I feel shouldn't really detract from how you feel, right? Like, I don't know. This person makes up a good point about how megas are probably not going to be in the next game anyway. So, like, why are we paying this much money for them? Very good point. You're the reason why Nintendo is so cocky. You have no shame. Because No, I have no context to why you said that. These are real accounts. These are people posting these things. Like, you took time out of your day to write that. I just don't understand. This person had to decide between a Switch 2 or a Steam Deck. They chose a Steam Deck and they feel more validated every day because of it. I'm probably going to get a Steam Deck too. I can tell you why I'm not buying it without a 14-minute video. It looks bad. I don't even think the game looks bad. Like Legends Arceus, if you look at gameplay for it, you might not think it looks very good, but that game feels great. Like it's so much fun. I feel like Legends EA has that potential too. There are some gimmicks they're doing that I'm interested in. It's on the same level as Arceus. I don't think it's going to be a bad game. You right, gang. Gonna cancel my ZA pre-order. I wasn't trying to make people cancel their pre-orders. Maybe I saved someone some money. I don't know. Definitely not fair to include the price of the Switch 2 in the price. It can be played on Switch 1. It's not the only game that can be played on Switch 2. I actually got a lot of comments talking about this. I put up like a TikTok of this. People were talking about the same thing on there. And I had a rant how I need to buy a Switch 2 to play the game the way I want to play it. I got to pay for the $70 game, $30 DLC, $20 Nintendo Switch Online service. So like $620 altogether. Back in the day, it was only $40 for the game. I didn't include like, oh, you also had to buy a Nintendo Switch, which I completely obviously misspoke. Maybe somewhere in my subconscious, I was thinking like, because I didn't pay for my original Nintendo Switch. My friend, when he upgraded to the DSi or whatever, he gave me his, which is the one I rocked for forever. It is this one right here. And when he gave it to me, the screen was already kind of like, I'm gonna try to get this on camera. The screen was already kind of falling apart, but now this late into this thing's lifespan, it is like completely unhinged. Like I mean that literally. Like I could pull this off with my 1-year-old son could accidentally pull this off with such little force. Which game is in here right now? Is that Emerald or Leaf Green? It's Emerald. I think I bought this thing for like $40 at GameStop. And at the time, I was like, the new games are $40. I'm getting completely ripped off here. And considering where the prices of these things went, maybe I made a good investment. Like, I didn't say that. I just said I would get it on eBay for cheaper, right? Isn't that what I said? Do I have to watch this fucking video again? I'm still buying Pokemon Legends EA. I already heavily invest in Pokemon. I have 3,000 Pokemon at home. I've bought all the DLC so far. I'm interested in a new battle system. I already bought Switch 2. I don't think Nintendo will die out soon. I'll enjoy it for what it is. And I'm all for that. I'm not trying to take anybody's fun. If you're still riding this train, you keep on riding it. I'm all for it. I also have a Pokemon home account with Pokemon that have been there for like what decades at this point. And I'm gonna keep them around, but I just don't want to keep paying full price for games I just am not passionate about. Aw dang, so I'll be buying it. I'll tell you how it is, but I can almost bet you'll buy it. Laughing face emoji. Can YouTube stop fucking doing this? Like, it'll put like these auto-generated responses, and they're like, some of them are like they sound human, but they're not. Stop doing that, YouTube. If you get a comment response from me, it's not auto-generated. I'll take that stance now. I'm not gonna buy it, buys it anyway. Ah, yes, that will show them. I like how people who don't know me just like automatically assumes that this will happen. They say it like it's already happened. I feel like I'm alone in saying I like knowing a game is going to get a DLC before buying it instead of spending a long time waiting to see if it will get continued support. I honestly expect DLC for Arceus, Tears of the Kingdom, Red Dead Redemption. Not getting anything was disappointing for me. I guess I'll just bring up like my Omega Ruby argument from earlier. Like, if that post game was just part of the main game, you wouldn't pay extra for it. Like, you can just do the post game later if that's how you feel. Like, my favorite game from this year was Expedition 33. It has a lengthy post game. It has side missions, and if they put those side missions in some kind of online service, and if that post game was a DLC, I would not be nearly as hype on that game as I am right now. I'm not trying to take away how you feel. Like, that's perfectly fine. Like, I can understand like wanting something to look forward to. But let's say I sell you a pizza and I take a slice out of that pizza and then I charge it separately for a single individual price that you have to pay extra for. Even if you look forward to that slice, it doesn't change the fact that that should have been yours to begin with. This person brings up what I talked about earlier, where I like fudged the prices, which I definitely did. And then he brings up like the enhanced editions like Platinum, Emerald, and such, Black 2. He doesn't know why people are upset all of a sudden. Emerald is the only one I played out of that generation. I guess I did play Pearl and Platinum. That is the one time I double dipped now that I think about it, but I got that game for cheap at a like yard sale, I think. Other than that, he just listed a bunch of games I didn't play. I didn't play Black 2. I didn't play Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. So maybe that's why I'm upset all of a sudden, is because I never had to pay that bullshit before, because it wasn't a part of the core gaming experience. I bought the collector's edition and I don't regret it, and I will have fun even without the Kalos Megas, and I get Mega Charizard figures as well. And I fully supported this dude. Again, not trying to take away anyone's fun. You can't compare buying a console and game to a $40 whole package. I want to see your $40 receipt for Pokemon Sun with console. I already brought up how I fucked that up, but me and this guy had a good conversation after. Good on you, man. Tired of seeing content creators pretending to bitch about these horrible practices Nintendo has been pushing, only to end up buying the shit for clicks. Stand for something or stand for nothing, in my opinion. And I, for one, detest these spineless content creators faking their outrage when they know they're gonna get it for free and monetization the hell out of it the whole way. Cowards and spineless cuck. Psychopaths, I think is what he means there, if you ask me. I haven't deleted a single comment on this video, but that might be the one that it's someone who agrees with me. Nah, I'll leave it. Some people just throw out like accusations and words like spineless cuck. Like, it's not that serious, bro. We're talking about a fucking Pokemon game. Bro has a Switch or Switch 2 and doesn't have Nintendo Online. Like, be real. I feel like most people I know who are on Xbox and PlayStation, most of them have the online service, and it's way more expensive. And I feel like the Switch Online, I feel like maybe half of my friends who have Switches have that. For a lot of people, that online service just ain't it. There's no value. Like, if you just play emulators or don't give a shit about retro games, why would you pay for that? These are the comments that sprung into life as I'm making this video. Yes, It's evil for companies to make money. It's evil for Nintendo to respect their IPs. It's evil not to release quick and cheap slop. Rolled my eyes at this video so hard, I think my eyes made a few full rotations before stopping. I don't even know how to respond to that. Like, I want to have an actual conversation, but I don't even know if some of these people actually watch the video. First, about the argument of releasing cheap slop. Pokemon is the most successful franchise of all time, and they are releasing games that are not up to that level. For what they have and what they're producing, it might as well be cheap slop that comes out every year. For the respecting IP thing, I assume like you're fighting some argument I don't even make in the video, which is like they're tearing down all of these ROM hacks, going after anyone who does like copyright anything. The examples I made for that was like they shut down a charity stream where people were doing speed runs. This is the same company that tried to stop Let's Plays and put them all in a program where they cut into their profits. And I'll always stand by, artists and creators, like even if they're ROMs or mods. I think those things should be allowed to exist. In a perfect world, they would exist in a way that also benefits the original creators, but Nintendo doesn't even want to release the old games in a easily accessible format. But that's an argument for another day. But the comment of it's evil for companies to make money. Bro, I don't know if we got to go back down to the guy who was ranting about capitalism, but Nintendo makes plenty of money. Like, Nintendo has been the most greedy, nickel and diming gaming company out there. So I'm never going to understand why there's people who jump online, go into the corner of just old Japanese businessmen who don't give a fuck about them. Because what people do is they project it onto themselves. Like, oh, well, I bought the newest Pokemon game and I bought the Nintendo Switch too, so he's attacking me as a person and my choices and my values. No, I'm not. I want you to enjoy the Nintendo Switch too. I want you to have fun. I want video games to be fucking good, but I also don't want consumers to get priced out. I want to be able to buy a Nintendo Switch 2 for my son so he can open it up on Christmas morning and be a happy little boy. But the big salary men who are going to take our money, when they overstep their bounds and they start charging us an arm and a leg, that's when we just have to call bullshit. And that's really all my video was. That's all I was trying to say is why I'm not going to be buying the game. And it's just a complaining ass video. And I guess I've made 2 of them now. So there you go. But yeah, I feel like I've gotten a lot of that off my chest. I feel good about myself. The sun has been rising in the background of this video. I'm ready to start my day. I know this got really rambly, so if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. And if you're one of the new subscribers, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate the hell out of that. Again, I'm a very small channel who's been doing it for a while, so whenever I get like these little waves of people coming in, it's always good. It's also stressful sometimes, but it's good. Someone told me there's like a hype button now that does something. I don't know what they meant. It's not going to exist in the future probably either way, so people watching this video in the future are going to be like, what the fuck is he talking about? I don't know. Hit the hype button. Do I have to say that? But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and until next time with that, I leave.